Hey, this is Rick from the Metallic Onslaught. I have Mike and Jeff here from Area Records and Music. I've actually been shopping at this store quite a long time.
And we've been here for 35 years, haven't we?
We have.
Go ahead, you go first.
Well, other people might know me here as Keith, as it's an Area Records nickname, and I also do the repairs and take care of that as well as sales. And then Michael's going to tell you how long the store's been here. And
well, we started back in early 1977 and started out simply as a record store with tapes and a few little accessory items. As you can see, it's changed since then. But we still do very well with the compact disc. No matter what you hear, folks, they do very well. Unfortunately, a lot of stores have gone down over the last few years because of economic reasons and other things like, you know, the computer and downloading and all. That hasn't really seemed to hurt us so much. We get people from further away. I was just on the phone with a customer from Alabama ordering some stuff to send down to him. That's how it works these days. I feel personally anyways, that when people download and burn tunes that way, I look at it in a positive way. It's like promotion. What the 45 single used to do back in the day, the computer's doing now. If you hear a couple songs that you like, you become interested in it. A lot of people want the hard product. They want to hold on to the disc in their hand with all the artwork and what the disc itself has to offer. So, you know, if you put out good music, it's going to sell. Just like record vinyls have come back, haven't they, Keith?
absolutely, and like Mike has said before in the past too about the internet too, it's more like the radio was in the past. People go on the internet to check out what a band's about and see what they're into before they spend money, $15, $16 on a disc, and if the band's good, guess what? They owe themselves.
Fortunately, prices have stabilized. They haven't been going up as crazily as they did in the past. CD prices have maintained, and some of them come down now, which is good for us too. More affordable, easier to sell. And other than that, what else, Rick?
Do you think a lot of the mom and pop stores sell a little bit better than maybe like the major chains?
If you've noticed who've gone down, it's been all the chain stores and the mega stores. How this industry started was with your small independent mom and pop stores. And it got going. When the money started getting bigger and things started selling, corporate got involved, and all of a sudden you had all these huge stores. The economy's falling apart and simmering down. Who's the first to go? All the big chain stores and mega stores. And who's still hanging around and popping up are the mom and pop stores, your indie stores. They started it and they're the ones that are still alive. I found that happen in Toronto. I go to Toronto every year, and I always like to hit the big stores. A few years ago they were all gone. Couldn't find a record store. You ask people in Toronto, well, you got to go out of town. Now that I've gone this last couple years, I walk into stores now that have come up and being, and they're kind of set up like this. They're moderate-sized stores, and it's back to the independents again, and they don't have to be large to cater to the clientele.
Now, how do you feel about the rumors that major labels are going to stop producing CDs?
We've heard that, but it's interesting because, like I said before, there's a little hiccup in that, being the fact that CD sales increase. Last year was our biggest year since 2004 in CD sales, so that makes people wonder also. And then with vinyl coming back as well as it has, it's like, wait a minute here, what are you doing? People want product. So what's going to happen in the future, I don't know. The little kiddies now that are in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, they are of the future, and they, you know, may not even know what music is. It's going to be so weird by then, and the only way to deal with it isn't the computer, because there aren't going to be human beings they're going to be bouncing off of. Everybody's going to be stuck prisoned in their home.
And who are the two companies that bought EMI, what they were saying about it? Remember they were saying EMI's idea was to get rid of the CDs, and those two wanted to make sure that
you keep it in existence.
Alive.
Yeah, I think it was part of Universal whole thing, and Universal, who else? Sony, I think, got involved in that.
Yeah.
Because EMI just wasn't sure where it was going and what they wanted to do and keep their money tied up into it. But Universal and who was it there? Sony, figured no, people still want the product. So.
And like when you buy a new vinyl these days, like say you buy a brand new vinyl of like the Black Keys, they usually give you the code to download the album as well. So if you buy the album, maybe they should start doing that with CDs. That way it's more of an incentive to buy the CD, then they can go put the download onto their iPod and have the master copy at home, so to speak. If anything goes wrong with the computer, crashes, stuff like that.
Think about, we're human. People like to touch, feel, smell, you know.
There is definitely a lot of pros and cons to to the downloading and having a physical product. You know, say if you're going on a trip somewhere. With security being the way that it is nowadays, you can't take a bag full of CDs on a plane.
No, you can't.
But you can't take an iPod.
You can't take an iPod on it.
Just like back in the day when vinyl was happening, people, you know, recorded their vinyl onto cassette tapes. Basically almost the same way, just not as crude any longer, you know, everything's all hip now.
It also seems that it's good to have options.
Right.
Yeah.
And then removing an option that someone wants doesn't seem beneficial to record companies in the slightest.
It seems like you'll eliminate a customer group if you do that, because there are some people that will say, I'm not going to go through all that to get me.
And what are collectible? What's collectible? The CDs and the vinyl is collectible. How do you make a download collectible?
Yeah.
Or, you know, a lot of people who get like the autographed copies of something.
There's all that.
How are you going to autograph an MP3?
Yeah. Think about it, I guess.
So how exactly did Area Records get started?
Well, one morning I woke up and said, you know, I think I want to have a music store. Actually, I worked for another music store 5 years prior to opening up Area Records. I had gotten frustrated because I saw what could be done in this area, and it wasn't being accomplished. There was a couple other music stores in Geneva at the same time as well. So anyhow, what I did was able to get out of the music store I was working for and took the records and tapes at that time with me. This would have been in early 1977. And the other music store eventually closed. And just prior to their closing, which was probably about a year after I had opened up, I decided to get into the instrument end of things because I saw what was coming from this other store. Anyways, we got involved at that point in time into guitars, amps, drums, and more accessories for instruments. And since then we've been doing that, and it's worked out well because after doing this for so long, you understand and know what people want to spend and what they don't want to spend. What's the least they'll spend? What's the most they'll spend on a guitar or an amp or whatever it is? And knowing the market area is very important. So as a result, every brand new guitar we have, for instance, has a lifetime warranty, or we won't work with the company. So that way we never have to worry about problems, and the customers, of course, don't have to either. That's important because word of mouth is your strongest tool. I've always felt it's been our strongest advertising vehicle, and at the same time protect yourself by taking care of your customers. And you know, we listen and cater, like I say once again, to what they're asking for and what will work in this market area, and that's how we've gotten to where we are right now. So we're comfortable.
Are there a lot of brands that you guys deal with that are some more successful than the other ones?
Yeah, well, right now the brands we carry is what we feel works well here, and the beauty in this day and age, especially having a smaller market, is everybody wants the bigger bang for the buck, and as a result, the name companies like the Samick, Ibanez, Dean guitar lines that we carry, they understand this also, and they're putting out good product for a lesser amount of money. Of course, we discount everything 20–30% from list price, and that helps, and just works out. I don't know. Same goes for amplifiers and everything in here. We're always shopping to get the better deal with the product, and it helps, of course, if it's name brand, and which all this stuff is. I mean, look at the amplifiers. It's Line 6, it's Marshall, it's Ibanez. These are all brand names, and people can associate with that well.
Drum set is D-Drum.
Yeah, D-Drum's what we carry for drums now, and again, we are always looking to get ourselves the biggest bang for the buck that we can pass on. And that's how it works.
And you offer music lessons as well?
Music lessons we do, guitar, bass, and drums. We've got a couple of good teachers for that, and we've got a full schedule, and it's been working out very well. We have called around to check price rates, and once again, like with our merchandise, we try to lowball a little bit, and by charging less for our lessons than other people do. Part of the reason for that, I've always felt, is it's better to sell for less and do the numbers. That way, by doing the volume, you'll make up your profit that way. I'd rather sell 3 and 4 of something than 1 and 2 to make the same amount of profit, you know? Plus, you're dealing with more people that way.
So, what are some of your thoughts on the current state of the music industry?
Locally and nationally and worldly, us here. Locally, it's good to see the enthusiasm with a lot of these younger kids who may have started with lessons and that are getting out there and playing a little bit, you know. at one time when the bar scene was happening and the drinking age was 18 and then 19, kids would get together in bands in high school knowing that when they graduated and got out, they had a place to play. Because all the bars, for instance, would always have live music. Then, of course, the drinking age went up, the DJs came around, and it was less hassle for the bar owners. So all of a sudden you saw a little bit of a downturn. Now what's happened over the last few years, I've noticed, some of the older cats that used to play back in the 60s and 70s, got married, settled down, didn't play for a while, are getting together again with their old mates, and they're playing for fun. And all of a sudden this fun is turning more serious, where all of a sudden they're getting gigs at parties and maybe some bar jobs. And then at the same time, what's going on right now locally that's getting bigger is a lot of the acoustic live acts that's going on. For instance, right here on this street, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 facilities on Seneca Street here that have entertainment, live entertainment going on. So that's good. Nationally speaking, I'd have to say that's always up and running. What's funny, not really funny, but what's also happening, you see, is a lot of older groups from 60s, 70s, 80s reforming and going back on the road again. Then even groups like one of Josh's favorites, Iron Maiden, come and gone, and look how huge they are again now. Even like groups like UFO, they're real big again all of a sudden now. These are groups from way back, but all of a sudden they're at the forefront again. And then of course you've got groups like Metallica and others that are still cruising right along on their strength. Even Van Halen with Roth have reformed and doing quite well with their new album. And I guess that's basically what's happened all around the world. It's incredible, though, how much real good music there is out there that's not being promoted, worldly speaking, and artists doing something. And unfortunately, I've seen some of them fall apart because they just couldn't support their music any longer, or being supported because the record companies weren't helping them or the promotion wasn't there. But I've heard a lot of good music that's just not out there. You have to find it. Either friends turn you on to it or you have to find it on your own. But there is good music out there not being heard, and that's what I think is the most frustrating part of the whole music industry as far as I'm concerned. And this has gone on since, like, I've been into it since the 60s and right up to today. There's good music out there not being shown.
What do you think about the role of the internet in the music industry?
The internet helps with YouTube and all sometimes if you, again, you can turn people on. And that seems to help because even Cyrus Radio from time to time, I'll have people come in and they'll say, hey, I just heard this group on the radio, and do you have their disc? Or I just heard this group, I forgot all about them, and do you have their disc? So that has helped, and I don't see too much TV, so I don't know if there's anything really musically on TV that's helping too much. I really don't know, to tell you the truth on that.
What about piracy? Do you think that's taken a chunk out of your business? Illegal downloading, or?
Probably in part a little bit to some degree, I'm sure. In a weird kind of way, though, I always look at the positive end of it, where it turns people on to these artists, and then they turn right around, they'll come in looking to see what else they may have out that they couldn't get through other ventures, and want to know if it could be ordered. You know, that kind of thing, their music. But yeah, no, the piracy's always been out there, even way back when, but now with the computer, of course, it's stepped up and a little bit quicker.
Do you think with the, you talked about the older bands coming back, do you think a lot of that has to do with, like, the oversaturation of all the pop music and stuff that's out?
Yeah, because you listen to a lot of this pop music that's out there. There's a lot of one-hit wonders, here today, gone tomorrow, and fashionably fit for now, you know, but it doesn't work next week. But I've got a lot of younger people coming in, and they're looking for the 60s and 70s music, where a lot of it started and got going, and they want to get back to the heart of it. And that's why I think, which may also be happening, where groups from way back have come back on the scene again, because there's that demand, and maybe the companies recognize it through sales and say, hey, you guys got to get going again. I don't know. Interesting, though. There's always something going on with music, folks.
Now, speaking, you mentioned local talent earlier. You guys actually carry a lot of local CDs here.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch these groups grow. I mean, from Gym Class Heroes on, you know. At the same time, too, Cry to the Blind, a local group happening. 9 Rounds, another local group that's starting to happen a little bit, getting a following. Hopefully they can go a little bit further. And when they do, you watch it happen step to step, by step, and it's fun to see. It's fun to see that happening. But you go way back. You know, back in the day was Wilmer and the Dukes and groups like the Ramrods and groups like that. Some of them did all right, may have done better, but they didn't have the right management either. It's who you know in this business.